There's a TV on the radio song called "If You Will Be My Accident, I Will Be Your Crutch and Cast." And that song really resonated with me because I thought about all the times that I ended up on crutches, with my arms in cast, doing really dangerous things, stupid things, reckless things that usually involved horses. And this was usually because I was trying to get the love, support, and validation of my father. There was this horse race, this really big matched horse race they call the Western Heritage Classic. It's more than a race. It's a cultural phenomenon. In Abilene, Texas, around Mother's Day, they have this huge Western event where people from all over the state come to watch. They come to watch the ranch rodeo, see the bit and spur show, and even listen to a little bit of cowboy poetry. But the biggest draw of the Western Heritage Classic is the matched horse race. So, a matched horse race, you're like, what the hell is that? So a matched horse race is when you have two horses that are racing against each other and the clock for 250 yards to see who is the fastest, who is the bravest, who is the toughest. It's a pretty dangerous race. So you have two horses. They're raring to go. You have to get them to cross the line in the sand, just like Texas, cross that line in the sand and get them to turn at the exact same time at the drop of a flag. And then they're off. So my dad, Ace Gorbett, was a ranch cowboy. Not a rodeo cowboy, but a ranch cowboy. Always had an old truck, dog in the back, faded Wranglers, pearl snap shirt, long, tall, mean Texan, big hat, mustache, beard. And he was going to be riding in the Western Heritage Classic. And we were going to go and watch him. This was a big thing. He and my mother had divorced not long before this, and he had moved to Fort Worth with his family. And he was coming down to ride in this race. And so we were really excited to see him and to watch him. And he was going to ride the old brown mare. The old brown mare had run on the track, and she was fast. And so we were there getting ready to watch him, ready to cheer him on. And so there's Ace on the brown mare and some other cowboy on a big gray stud. And so they're lined up behind the line. The flag man drops the flag, and they're off. So there's Ace on the brown mare, then there's the man on the gray horse, and it's neck and neck, and then Ace starts pulling forward, and then the cowboy on the side keeps going. Except Ace is not hustling. He's not kicking. He's holding on to his cowboy hat because he doesn't want it to fall off and get trampled. Ace does not win that race. But we're excited, and we're proud of him. And I'm 12, 13 years old, and I know that next year I'm going to go back and I'm going to ride in this race. So almost a year goes by. I'm excited. I've never ridden in a matched horse race. At this time, I was a professional barrel racer and had won many rodeo acclaim, just like my mother before me. But this ranch horse race, it was different. And my dad was going to come down from Fort Worth to watch me in this race. So I needed to win. And so here I am on my barrel horse Stinky, who was quick and fast, and she whipped around that turn and she goes. I don't win. Not first anyway. Maybe second or third, but I won several $100, and Ace, my dad, he was yelling on the sidelines. He even did one of those really loud cowboy wolf whistles. Don't worry, I'm not going to do it. He may have even said, good job. But I didn't win first. Maybe if I'd won first, he would have said he was proud of me. Maybe he would have said he loved me. All right, the next year, I got to get ready. And so a year goes by, and my younger sister Blair and I were trying to figure out, who are our fastest horses? Who are we going to take to this horse race? And so Blair, about 11 years old, she's on this little Palomino horse, Wheaties. And he's quick and he's fast, and I'm on my 4-year-old bay horse, Booger. And so I cannot let my little sister beat me. And so we're at home, we're practicing, and, I'm really prepared for this. I'm wearing tennis shoes, cut off jean shorts, and I only have one contact in. I don't know why I only had one contact, but that's all I had. I also have really bad astigmatism and really poor judgment. And so Blair and I were going to race Wheaties and Booger, and who are we going to take to this race? And so we're off. And my little sister is beating me on Wheaties, who's practically a pony. And so I'm whipping, and I'm spurring, and I'm riding, and I push Booger right into a pipe fence. And I crash with nothing between that pipe fence, that horse, me, my leg. I go over the fence, face all scraped up, 2 broken arms, and my leg. Almost losing my leg. And I'm kind of going in and out of consciousness, and a neighbor drives by, and my mom, they're able to get me in the car, and they're rushing me to the hospital, and she keeps saying, "Don't let her look at her leg. Don't let her look at her leg." The injury was bad. Like I said, 2 broken arms, face all scraped up and mangled, and one part of my leg was so deep the doctor could stick his pinky in it. So there was a severe risk of gangrene that could lead to amputation. So needless to say, I was not riding in the horse race that year. And so year after year, I wanted to go back and I wanted to ride in this horse race to make my father proud, for him to tell me that he loved me. So year after year, I would ride in this horse race. Sometimes I'd win second, sometimes I'd win third, sometimes I didn't win at all. In fact, there were a couple of years where I was even disqualified for a false start. You know how in track sometimes if you jump the gun? I literally jumped the gun. And I got disqualified. And yes, it was embarrassing and it hurt my ego. But my dad, Ace, he was really embarrassed. And he would bring this shit up for decades about how I had jumped the gun and had a false start and had embarrassed him at the Western Heritage Classic. This was kind of hard for me to swallow because I had been a good kid. I had done really well in school. I worked hard through college, getting scholarships, volunteering at a domestic violence shelter, going to grad school, working and volunteering with refugees in Africa. But he was embarrassed from these false starts at the Western Heritage Classic. Meanwhile, his friends, my mom used to call them Gumps, where we were from, and their kids got arrested for cooking meth, embezzling money from a bank, lots of other fun things. But he was embarrassed. All right. So 10 plus years go by. Now I'm in Austin, keeping it weird. I no longer have horses of my own, but my mom and my sisters, they have plenty. And so now I'm approximately 33 years old, and I'm talking to my sister Blair. Blair, what horse am I going to get to ride of yours at the race? And she says, well, do you really think you should come down from this race? And I'm thinking, I have driven from California to New Mexico. I have come from other countries to ride in this horse race. And then I start thinking that a few months earlier, I had come out to my father as bisexual. I said, my then girlfriend, Libby, I said, you know Libby's my girlfriend, right? And he's like, yeah. Well, what do you think about that? Ugh, I just try not to. Okay. Well, at least she's cute. Okay, I had that going for me. So here I am, in my 30s, a grown woman, wanting to ride in the Western Heritage Classic, not only to make my father proud, but also my girlfriend. And my sister tells me, he doesn't really want you to come for the race. Why? Well, he's afraid one of those rednecks may say something about his lesbo daughter, and he may have to get into a fight. You see, most 65-year-old men would not get into a fight. Ace Gorbett would. He still had glass in the back of his neck where he got hit on the head with your beer bottle 40 years before. This was a man who literally, when he had an abscessed tooth, drank a bottle of whiskey and pulled the tooth out with a pair of pliers himself. So Ace Gorbett would have gotten in a fight. So I didn't go. I didn't ride in that race. Because would my dad fought for my honor? Or would he fought because he was embarrassed? Because he was shamed? Because his daughter had a girlfriend? So I didn't go. It wasn't until a few years later that my father was diagnosed for cancer. He hadn't been to the doctor in almost 40 years, but he got pneumonia. Forced him to go to the emergency room. They did an x-ray and found out that he had cancer. He never went back to that hospital. He chose not to get treatment. He chose not to stop drinking, not to stop smoking, not to stop being a rough and rugged cowboy that didn't want to be dependent on anyone, and chose death. I was pregnant at the time, and so was my sister Blair. And I said to him, when I found out that he wasn't going to get treatment, basically just going to give in to death, and I said, who's going to teach my son to be tough? Who's going to teach my son to be fearless? And he said, you will. My father died that next week. It was Mother's Day, the same weekend as the Western Heritage Classic. And I think he may have been proud of me after all. Thank you.